Real estate strategy without the spin. Here's what you missed from this week's Friday Focus on KGCI, Real Estate on Air.
Seven-figure success starts when you start thinking like a CEO. Welcome to the John Kitchens Coach Podcast Experience. This is your host, John Kitchens. Get ready to think bigger and transform your business into a path to lasting freedom. What is happening, man? Welcome everybody to episode 291 of Expert Mentors Live, and we've got a special session in the house for everybody today. You know, typically the whole Expert Mentors series has been about, you know, showcasing the best of the best out of the Honey Badger Nation that really just want to pour back into the community. And we've got some honorary Honey Badgers in the house today. And so want to be able to showcase and give back. Obviously, Mr. Joel Purcell riding along. Danielle and Eric, great to have you. And we'll do some introductions in just a second. But I really do want to take a sec, you know, for all of us to kind of set the stage. And you know, it's social media, but the sexy pool is AI, right? And you know, it's kind of that dog whistle out there. You know, if somebody's throwing an event, you just put AI and, hey, we're going to talk about AI. You know, it helps get butts in seats. But there's so much chaos inside of the market, inside of the marketplace. I mean, it's a weird season that we're kind of in. You know, obviously new administration, election cycles. Obviously, you know, our dear friends up north in Canada, what they're dealing with, what they're going through, the whole election cycle for them as well. And, you know, when you find that sexy topic, right, it was even, you know, the internet days, it was even the social media 2.0 days. I mean, it just creates so much chaos, and it really starts to kill efficiency, especially for agents that aren't disciplined, like most aren't, right? You know, they fall victim to shiny object syndrome and chase the next, you know, shiny thing. And so there's a lot of pain points. There's a lot of pain points in the marketplace. I mean, I know you guys are deep into, you know, the real estate community as well as other industries, but there's a real problem that's bubbling up, and I'm excited to dive into kind of, you know, 4 of the big pain points that you guys have helped identify, things that we see talking to agents day in and day out. And I think what's at stake is some things that agents really aren't paying attention to. And I know, Joel, you can chime in on this at kind of what's at stake and conversations that we've had and conversations that I've had with people that, you know, do what you guys do for a living day in and day out in the AI space. And there's some, you know, red light, green light, yellow light to be paying attention to. And, you know, the one default that I look at, especially helping agents, you know, develop lead magnets, develop their marketing side of things, develop things, kind of their business model. And Joel even poked at me a little bit today because we've been using the 15-second rule. And he goes, man, I think it's more like 5 minutes. And it's that, you know, if ChatGPT can create and give you an answer in 15 seconds, and he said, no, but we're like 5 minutes, then it's of zero value. And it's just crazy to think things that we perceived as value 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, 60 months ago is of zero value. And, you know, that's in the red light. But to the point that how I've been thinking about it, and I know, Eric, you've been instrumental in the way I have been thinking about, you know, AI, but it's kind of in alignment and adaptability to who you are into the marketplace. But what I feel is at stake, you know, even if you're interested, you know, Joel and I joke about this, but it's not really a joke. It's kind of serious. It's beyond interested. Like, if you're not even committed to this industry, you're not committed to how to align with AI, I really think you're a dinosaur. You just don't realize it yet. And so I think it's just really, really powerful for what we're going to dive into today. And just grateful for you guys carving out the time to jump in and pour back into the community and really, you know, open our eyes up to kind of the direction that we need to be thinking about and the direction to go.
if we were an AI company, we wouldn't be here because frankly, I'm sick of hearing about AI. Like everyone is just AI. We're like, yeah, because trying to get butts in seats because everyone does have the shiny thing. But at the core of it, Whoozie's an empowerment company. And AI just happens to be the most revolutionary tool that you have to empower people at scale with the most quickest ROI. Right. Yeah. So that's the reason why we're here is because, you guys are about empowerment. People are on this call are kind of people. And, business isn't the business of business, is the business of personal development. Yeah. And effectively, you want to grow your business, you got to grow yourself. And AI can help do both of those things, grow your business and grow yourself. So that's why AI.
Yeah. I think the word is transformation. And I think, Howard, you have to position yourself being in the transformation business. And that's what you guys are. And I mean, you really are empowering, but it's also a very transformative, experience in being able to help you collapse time and move fast and think and see things in a way that like, I can't wait to tell you the story a little bit later on, but like things that would take weeks and months or not ever get done.
That's even more nefarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not even get done. So Eric, let's do a little introduction. Like I said, a lot of folks tuning in to Expert Mentors. They know who I am, they know who Joel is, but haven't had the opportunity to meet you or Danielle.
Yeah, let's let Danielle ladies first because she's.
Oh, well, hey, I'll take that from you three gentlemen. Thanks so much. I've got over 2 decades experience in sales, and 16 of those have been in the real estate space. But now my focus is helping business owners really avoid the pitfalls of that copy culture, which as we're talking to now, it's AI. AI is that. Social media was the most recent, and you would see just the chronic copying of what everybody's doing on social media with no intention tied to it, no clear objective. Now AI is that new thing. So it's how do we leverage AI to grow and scale our business? And I'm actually super excited, which we're going to share with you at the end of this call here, about to be partnering with Kitchens, because what we have discovered, and now I've been with Whoozie for 15 some months now in training agents across the country, is that it really starts with clarity, not just how to grow your business, but how to leverage AI. Without that, actually, you're at the bottom, right? Because you get this confirmation bias kind of that comes back that says, hey, you're on the right path. So that's what, John, you coach to consistently, which is starting with clarity, what your objective is. So I'm excited to talk some more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you said transformation for sure. Because frankly, AI without that as its core is just an expansion. So for instance, when ChatGPT just launched their new image generator, right? And all these posts are saying, content creators are cooked, graphic designers are cooked, all this stuff. I'm like, actually, no, all that does is it expands your ability to produce more of what you already are. So if you're a mediocre marketer, you're just going to be able to produce more mediocre marketing at scale, right? Yeah. And so, without the intentionality of transforming from your current level to your next level, it's just going to be an expander of what you are currently. So that's why I call it a gap creator, because the excellent marketers are going to be able to expand their excellent marketers, and the mediocre marketers expand mediocre marketer, thus creating even a wider gap between the haves and the have-nots. So it's the transformation from mediocre to expert. It has to be at the core of all of it, or else you're just going to be, again, lost in more of noise, right? Yeah. Especially online. We can talk about statistics, what's happening online on social media too.
Yeah, I think it's super important, right? To get to understand and really. And this is where you help me a lot, is really just thinking about it a little bit differently, but really understand the direction of really what's happening.
Danielle, you hit on this mediocrity thing in the real estate space. Mediocrity and apathy have been killing this industry for a couple of decades, for sure. And the copycat culture has just been exponentially, grown and magnifying through social media. But leaders don't follow frickin' trends; they make them, right? But everyone's following trends on social media, and so, but somebody's got to set a trend. Why can't it be you, right? And so that's that level of agency that people have kind of lost because of the really noisy world. And so it's much easier to ride the coattails of something than it is to carve out your own space.
Yeah.
But sorry, John, go ahead.
No, when she was saying that and what you just said there, just sparked a Jay Abraham moment. And, Jay would always say, if you want incremental gains, pay attention to what's happening in your industry. If you want exponential gains, then you need to look outside of your industry and what's working. And then how do you apply that? And that just, when I hear copycat, that's where my mind always goes, especially copying within the industry.
Yeah, that's fine. And I don't mean to sound cynical or whatever. It's just human nature. Just by default, we're very efficient beings, right? Or you don't build your muscle unless you're using it constantly. You don't build your creativity unless you're using it constantly. So it's just a default nature. So you just have to fight against your default nature in order to have this sort of mindset. And the problem with AI is that it is definitely, like you mentioned, is a confirmation bias machine. And so ChatGPT is built to make sure you feel really good about yourself, so you keep going back to it. So when you talk to ChatGPT, it's like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do this. It just follows your direction. And so statistically, just to share, like that's not an opinion. That's so dangerous. And intuitively, I could see it because I watch people use AI all day, every day. But statistically, now that they're finding that what's happening is the top 10% of every industry or the expertise are getting like a 12 to 35% boost in the productivity and efficiency with AI because they are the expert domain and they leverage AI. Below that, they're actually seeing a decrease in the performance and expertise using AI because there's a confirmation bias machine. It's just taking down the path of mediocrity. Okay. So there's a big split in the road in terms of the types of results that you're getting with AI just based on your expertise and your comprehension of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So to sit down in front of ChatGPT and not be an expert, you are at peril of actually getting taken down the wrong road.
Well, and John, you talk about the leaders that they're curious enough to look outside of their industry, right? To see what's working and take note from that. Well, now with AI, they can. I mean, the only thing that held them back before was just the inefficiency of that or bandwidth. And now they have the bandwidth. So if they already had the curiosity, right, and they're leaders, so they're all in, like you said, which is the second piece of being at the top. Now with AI, they're efficient and they have the ability and they can utilize the wisdom and research quickly and tie that into their business with artificial intelligence, linking that together for them. And they're taking off. That's where the threat is because those people exist.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. So Eric, give a quick intro, a little bit of backstory about you real quick. And then, man, let's dive into, some problems that we know that you guys are solving.
Sure. Yeah. So I got my real estate license in 2002. Before that, it was, learning how to sell simply out of the results I got out of the Marine Corps. And it was like, well, what job can you get where you are in charge of your own destiny? And that's in sales. No matter what was happening with any economy or tariffs or election, if you can influence people, clearly communicate and lead them to a transformation, you're going to make money. Right. So learning how to sell and learning the skills of not sales through scripts and pro-con lists and the Benjamin Franklin close and those sorts of things, but getting to the root of human nature and of humanity, even of sorts, and be able to lead them through is something I just was super interested in. And so, got my real estate license. And initially that very first day in the office, I went to the guy in the office that I was really looking up to. And he's like, Eric, you're going to do amazing. You could, your first year, you can at least do what the average agent does, even though it's your first year. And at the time, in 2002, that was 6 deals, right? And I went back and did the math. I was like, well, shit, I'm going to be broke at the end of the year. And so I instantly went. I went to Nike, I went to Ford, I went to a few other industries, and I did 63 sides, my first deal, because I didn't look to see what every other agent was doing. I looked to see what needed to be done, and I wasn't being willing to just be placated and be like, oh, here's how real estate is done, because how real estate is done produced those results. In the same way, most people aren't happy and healthy and fit and, satisfied in their personal relationships and whatnot. So I don't look to society to tell me what's normal. I look to actually what works, right? Success leaves clues. And so I just have a passion for that. We started Whoozy because at the end of the day, I was scared when I first heard about what was happening with AI. I didn't know what to tell my kids who were going into college, what to study. I didn't know what I wanted my next chapter to be. And fear represents an opportunity in my world. And so I was afraid of it. That means I'm going to go headstrong and head in. And here we are, a couple years later. So that's the core of it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It's, that's the whole, right. The obstacle becomes the way.
That literally, that Ryan Holiday book, that is literally how we led to the program to partner with coaches. Because at the beginning of this thing, I thought the whole ecosystem I could serve with the exception of coaches, because AI has got all this knowledge. And what is coaching? Coaching is knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So I literally thought, I wrote down the words, the obstacle is the way. If the coach is an obstacle, how then can I turn that into my biggest opportunity? And then here we are. So literally was that quote, man. Yeah.
I love that. So let's dive in. Let's, we had the opportunity for you to join us via Zoom, but you did join us in Sarasota. We got to enjoy the weather, but yet you guys were able to.
Come on, man! I'm living in Oregon. Why you got to do that to me?
To jump in and add a ton of value to the room, and you showcase, condensed down things and conversations that we've had, but really jumped into the 4 problems that you guys see at the forefront of what we're trying to help solve. That's tech stack bloat, that's noise. And I think that you were alluding to what's happening on social media. There's just so much noise. And that was been my question. How do you break through the noise? AI powered what? And this is like the question I ask a lot of people, right? Like, what happens when this particular individual is armed with AI? And we're already starting to see it, right? Even in the real estate space. I always joke, Joel's son Wes won't know what Google that means. Just Google it, right? Like he won't know what that means, because they'll just go to ChatGPT and ask the question. And we're already starting to see that happen with real estate agents. Who's the best real estate agent to sell in this particular area? We're already seeing it. That's what literally happening. I hear stories from agents, at least every couple of weeks. Yeah, man, I got this because they ChatGPT'd me and I popped up. And then being able to provide a consistent, efficient, and transparent experience, right? And that's really what we're looking to create in anything we do, because it triggers what? It triggers lifetime value. And understand the 2 fundamentals of business: customer acquisition cost, lifetime value. And when you can understand what the lifetime value of your clients are, what your acquisition, what you can pay to acquire that opportunity. But the thing that I've seen that improves lifetime value is experience, and just how you make them feel throughout the entire process.
Yeah. Where do you want to start with that? Why don't we start with the noise, maybe?
Yeah. I think that's a great jumping off point, because it is. That's the question I always asking myself is like, man, how do we move forward in such a noisy world? Sometimes, me, I just want to put it in reverse and just drive around the noise instead of trying to figure out a path through. So what are you seeing? Like, what's the best way to be thinking about this as we start to navigate all of the noise that's in the marketplace?
So I'll start off with fundamentally some statistics, so it's not just based on my opinion. So fundamentally, like there's studies like the McKinsey study that shows that by the end of this year, 90% of all online content will be generated by AI. That's Reddit forums, that's social media, that's blog posts, and then keep going a little bit deeper. That's now not just the posts themselves, but it's in the comments, bots talking to bots, talking to bots, talking to bots, sort of thing. So the whole idea of the dead internet theory is possibly closer than we think, because if it's just AI talking to AI, where are all the people at, right? And the rush to automate yourself out of your job, being your social media, is not a job that you can just leverage to AI unless you're just all about volume. But if you're the type of person that's about value, that's a completely different approach. And when there's a 6,000 to 8,000% increase, by the way, in posts just in the last 18 months. Okay, so not just a little increase. We're talking 6,000 to 8,000, depending on what the platform that you're on, in volume, in noise. You just can't contribute to that in the same way that everybody else is and expect to make a dent. And how much do you want to spend on your ad spend, right? So the way at Whoozy we frame this is that, yes, you need to automate and be efficient in your business in some way, but your customers don't pay you more for that. They pay you for a better consumer experience. Mm-hmm. And so, at the end of the day, the old saying that the riches is in the niches has never been more true. That's always been a case of truth. But when you have an AI-powered consumer that has broad knowledge base, and you aren't known for something special, you're just going to be irrelevant. Okay. So using AI to establish a deep and specific value, maximizing that in a personalized experience, and not using AI as a broadcaster, but using AI as a personalizer, that's where the magic happens. And I'll show you how we can do that actually in the platform. It's not theory.
And I'll say too, when Eric started building Whoozy, it really is in support of the real estate industry. I mean, there is a lot of copy culture, and we know that some people are just shipping things out and focused on efficiencies and tools and money at the end of the day, and not really building relationships. But Eric's driver was, I know there are really good agents out there that would do that would be thinking about the individual value that they provide to each individual client, if only they had time. So how can we package up this technology to empower those people that care that deeply and want to do that thing? If only there were 2 of them, if only there were 3 of them, if only they had the resources. That's where it is.
It really is. And Joel really helped me center this at the end of last year when we were doing kind of the year-end conversation here on Expert Mentors. And we, he's like, hey man, let's dive down the Bezos question. And let's dive down to, it's not all the things that are going to change. Let's focus on what's not going to change. And Joel, I would love for you to kind of, point out some of the key things that we know. And we talk about green, yellow, red, like, within, red is of no value. It's already erased. It doesn't matter. Yellow still might be on life support, but the green zone. And those are the things. It goes back to, I heard somebody put this, Eric, and it's to this point of what's not going to change. And discipline over disruption. Be disciplined to the things that won't change, and how you can, use this to empower you to enhance the things that won't change. But Joel, there's a handful of things in there that we discussed that really stood out that AI helps empower, that really goes down to the things that won't change.
Yeah. And I think the one, well, there's a few of them, but one big one that we talked about was what's not going to change is the best marketer is still going to win. And so, Eric, you're talking about creating more mediocre marketing. I think, and we were talking about stakes earlier, I think irrelevance is going to be the best case scenario for a lot of people, and using AI poorly is going to actually do a ton of damage to brands. I think the magic show of AI that lacks substance is pretty much gone now.
Good.
We had that 2 years ago. You could put up a crappy video that AI made completely, and you could even integrate that into your onboarding process for new clients, and people thought it was really cool. Like, that's gone now. Now the consumer is smarter. They see that bad video that you made with AI, and they think, what kind of organization am I involved with here? So the magic show that lacks substance is gone, and now it's down to substance. And so I think using AI poorly, the best case scenario is irrelevant. The more likely outcome, if you do manage to cut through some of that noise, is actually damage to your brand. So one of the things that doesn't change, the best marketer is still going to win. The other one we spend a lot of time talking about is this relationship is still going to be a relationship business. And we used to talk about, how do you beat Zillow? And the answer to how do you beat Zillow was a powerful brand and local expertise in your market, in your niche. Niche down. Don't be spread too thin. Focus. And I think that's going to stay the answer. But the question is not going to be how do you beat Zillow? It's how do you beat AI? Use AI, remain competitive in this new landscape. And so, what's not going to change? Best marketer is still going to win, and we still need to be focused on relationships in our communities, and being true experts. And I think what's going to get so important too, and John and I are always obsessed with solving problems. Danielle, you said this on one of our calls at some point, but a lot of people are looking at AI as doing cool things, and not enough people are looking at AI as, what problem is this going to solve? So I'd love for you to talk about that, because that was such a big aha. You said that, and I said that's exactly what people are doing. People are using AI to do cool things instead of solve problems.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The canic conversation is dangerous. Daniel, I didn't mean to, I know you're going to say something
No.
really probably brilliant, and please hang on to that thought. The most dangerous question is when somebody asks, can AI do fill in the blank here? Because the answer is almost always going to be yes, but it needs to be, should I be using AI to do this thing first? And so the can it question is very sexy and it's fun to talk about, but it's the most dangerous one that leads you to a yes, and that leads you down a dangerous path and doing something maybe damaging to your brand. So the clarity comes before that. I love, like, you're sitting there, Joel, in a library, right? Like all those books behind you, you know, sort of thing. Can I share my screen for a minute? Well, and you know, what Daniel is to, I just want to show you just one thing when we talk about transformation. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and just share this screen real quick. So can you guys see this screen right here? All right. So transformation. Joel, name me one of your favorite books.
Beyond Entrepreneurship.
Beyond Entre.
I'd show up as 2.0 in there.
There it is. Use 2.0.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is transformation, is going from a knowledge-based source in to get handed to your AI model, right? And then you can go from just a generalized understanding of it to now converting it from a knowledge base into what I need today based on what I'm working on, sort of thing. So this is this whole platform around Satori, which we'll dive into a little bit later, is just basically like taking that sort of repository of knowledge, bringing it instantly to you in any way. Like we have 40 million books in the library here, right? So as impressive as your library is, that's a part of who you are, Joel. And I can hear it in your words and your thought processes. Like you've digested, you've transformed it. Now you can do that at scale with a thing like Satori, right? So starting at your own personal transformation is really critical.
Yeah.
Daniel, sorry.
No, well, I was just going to say too, we just got off of a training call with our members, and Eric, I don't want to take it from you, but you're framing with what software previously was and how people approach. Share that before I share my thoughts here.
Okay. So software up until this thing was done two ways. Software was receptive before. So all of our computer software, you went down and you entered the data into it. You entered your customer's name into it. You entered this thing into it, and then it did the work that it's designed to do. That is the old way of doing it. And software was the place where you got some work done, but the work actually started somewhere else. It started with you thinking about it or planning it or reading the book or having a conversation somewhere else, and then you did the work. So AI is now the place where you start your work, because you go, you have the conversation there, you have the research there. And so you start your work there, that then leads you to the work. So that's the first different transformation. And secondarily, if the software is done properly, it actually now more takes the leadership position. It's not just receptive, it's helping you and pushing you along the way and leading you to a better result than you could on your own, right? With sitting there with just a notepad, because it has access to all of the knowledge base in the whole world that you've never had access to in a proactive way. So those are two things. And then lastly, the software of yesterday was built. It was like huge teams and whatnot. We built software. Now AI, it can generate whatever software. AI is a generator, right? So it generates language, generates images, videos, software. So if you're a team leader, please don't be thinking about what can I build software-wise that makes things more efficient, and start thinking about how can I do a generative process to where the outcome of that software I was thinking about building is actually done and approached in a completely different way, hyper-personalized and in the moment. So there's just a complete different relation. And this is now, I know a little bit woo-woo, whatever, but just if you can like really think of it in those three categories and a different way to approach software now, it'll really transform your relationship with it.
And this is fundamental for one, to avoid the overwhelm, and two, actually get something out of AI. So to bringing everything into the picture here, we knew as we started to develop Whoozy that one of the pain points for agents is they've got a bloated tech stack.
Yeah.
But what we're actually finding now, to be completely candid, is that AI is adding to that bloat if they're not approaching it the right way. If they're approaching it as a tool or like they historically would approach software. But if they recognize that this is a place to start their thought iteration, those people are taking off, and it's actually having the opposite effect. It's streamlining it's slimming down their tech bloat, and it's bringing everything together and making things more efficient and cohesive if they approach it that way. So it's not tool first, it's objective first, and being really clear. And What's incredible with AI and the tool is that if you're not clear, it can even help you get that too. So
Yeah.
we train members, they're just like, I don't even know where to start. Start there. Like, I'm here because I need to, and I don't know what I need to take into consideration. What questions should I be asking myself if I were a skilled marketer, right? If I was the best copywriter, if I was a business coach, what would I be asking myself when I approach this project?
Yeah, it is. It's wild, right? It's like preparing for event coming up and being able to craft and tell the story, and how we're going to go about it is, what I would have knowing, 20 years and 13 years of one-on-one coaching, how I would have coached us 20 years ago. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had me as a coach 20 years ago. Right. And to navigate those waters. But now I think to your point there, Danielle, and you just resonated, right? Objective first. What's the goal? Like that's where we default to. Like, what are we trying to do? Like, what is the goal? Is that really the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? And I think just being able to utilize it in a way that's going to, instead of creating cool stuff like Joel is saying, but it's actually going to help you solve problems, because that's the only way we continue to grow, right? Solve problems and continue to keep moving forward.
The reason I'll say the reason for the disconnect between the two is that people are looking to AI as a tool. So they're building the widget, they're building the thing or whatever, and it's not. As another voice on your team, as another voice in the room, as another voice in your organization. That's how it needs to be approached first. And if you view it as a tool, it's going to react and be treated like a tool, and you're going to get poor results. Or the thing that you build or use is going to be very irrelevant very fast, because the frontier models are getting smarter and smarter, and just eating the most obvious little widgets and things that are being built, right? So a lot of the startups that started building 18 months ago are being wiped off the face of the map because you just do it with Grok or ChatGPT or whatever, right? And so because they're viewing AI as a tool, and I'll build the little thing, the little tool, now it's just irrelevant. So being a leader in the space, and people that are on this call are going to be leaders in the space, or at least leaders of their own business, view it first and foremost as another voice in the room. How do I maximize this voice and this wisdom in the room before I go and think about it as a tool?
Yeah.
And viewing it as another voice in the room and a member of your team isn't just in your approach with it, but your partnership with it. Right. So if it's a tool, and if it's historically the software we're used to, then we've got an input and we expect an output, and we take what we get. But with a team member and a resource like that, it's iterative. So just like you would with an assistant or a team member, they bring you back a project and it didn't quite make the mark, right? You're constantly providing feedback. So it's not just your approach, but it's also the partnership with it.
It's wild that you were saying that. It brought me up back to, you can look at team members one or two ways. Most people look at team members as an expense. However, team members don't show up on the P&L. They show up on the balance statement. They are assets, and you have to look at them that way. And so what you were saying with this becomes team member, this has really been the conversation that Joel and I've had, with the teams that we've built and we've helped build over the last 20 years. Like, we've seen them all, right? And there's only a handful of ways to go about it to really build it a way that's going to be profitable enough to build enough, momentum and an engine to get you to where you want to go. But it's just wild how we've thought about, right things, right order. When do you make this higher? When do you make that higher? Because what we know to be true in every stage, right? We've identified the 8 stages in the real estate journey, and beginning stages, that's you need to develop just good habits, right? You can get out of the first 2 stages with just good habits, right? You're consistent, showing up on time, you're, good mindset, like, just some good fundamental habits. But you get up in those other stages, it's always a who, right? The constraint always becomes a who. And it was like, man, you got to get to that assistant. You got to get to that assistant as fast as you can. You got to hire that assistant. Well, 20 happens and it unlocks the global workforce, right? That's probably one of the most powerful things that came out of 20 was it unlocked the entire global workforce. And there is a lot of talent on this planet, and being able to tap into it, but now being able to tap into a global workforce that fits your budget, that falls into the salary cap, because that was always the hard part, is like, I need to get to 6 figures, get up close to multiple six figures before I can justify making that hire. Well, now you can get to that hire quicker. Well, then Eric comes into my life, what are we not even 12 months ago. And I'm like, you don't even go out of the States for your first hire anymore. Like, your first hire is now in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like in every situation, like, you got Whoosy? You got Whoosy?
Mm-hmm.
You got Whoosy? Like, that is the first hire. And then the second hire is going to be the global talent, aligned and empowered with your word, empowered with Whoosy.
Mm-hmm.
Before you even start bringing somebody that has proximity to you into your business.
It's one of the exciting parts about Whoosy for me. John and I, we talk about being committed or obsessed. John and I are obsessed with team building, the ways to build specifically real estate businesses, and a lot of solutions don't scale. We always talk about the things that used to work don't work now. What got you here won't get you there. So Whoosy is your first hire, but it's also your fourth hire and your ninth hire and your 11th hire, because at some point you're going to need a TC. Well, Whoosy's your junior TC supporting your TC. At some point, you're going to need that marketing person to own strategy. Well, Whoosy's going to be your marketing assistant, maybe 4 of your marketing assistants under your marketing leader. So it truly scales wherever the organization goes. And that's what makes it really exciting for me from not only a solo agent making your first hire, but from the biggest teams in the world becoming incredibly powerful because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd say too, like when we say Whoosy's your first hire, it's really hiring yourself a second time, right? You are able to hire yourself. You are that second person. You're duplicating yourself. It's for every time you said, if only there was 2 of me, 3 of me, 4 of me, because we hire people because we don't have the time or we don't have the skill set. With AI now, we have the efficiency, so we've got time back, and we have the artificial intelligence and all the wisdom there at our fingertips, so we can develop the skill set. So it's actually our ability now to duplicate ourselves more than anything. And I actually think that's a really important framing, because when we think like hire a Whoosy, it's not just shipping it out, right, and using technology to check these boxes and do this thing for us. Actually, it is us. It's just we're now empowering ourselves to find the knowledge, the wisdom, bring everything together in an efficient fashion. Yeah. And so unintentionally, then we're learning, growing, and stretching our skill set.
Yeah,
with our first hire.
It is. It really is. It's so key. So Eric, I want to ask you guys because I think we can kind of tie a couple of these problems into one. And so I start to think about it's the whole adage, go where the puck is going, right? And so I'm constantly thinking now, because we tease a little bit, the empowered. Well, the consumer is empowered. The consumer is utilizing, ChatGPT or whatever their favorite AI tools are. So where we are really, we carry a bunch of skill sets from a real estate agent perspective. We carry a bunch of skill sets with us, but we really bring in knowledge and being able to tie it all together, create calm in a chaotic, stressful situation. So as where the consumer is becoming smarter and smarter, where do we need to get to where the puck is going, and really to where we don't become irrelevant, we become even more valuable? I know we talked about going deep in the niche. I know we talked about being the information that they can't figure out in 5 minutes or less. Where is that puck going that we need to position ourselves, and how do we, be empowered with the tool or with AI, with Whoosy, to be able to get out there before that puck is there?
The first thing I think you actually hit at the top of this is that the internet is quickly changing from an internet of things to an internet of conversations. So the things before were interest rates, listings, so on and so forth, where that was the object that people were connected via. So that's why Zillow was getting upstream of everybody, because they had the things that people were looking for. Yeah. Okay. So they created a portal, and they leveraged the human nature of voyeurship and wanting to know the zestimate of my neighbor's house and things like around that, to create the things that then drove the traffic, that's how leads were connected. that's transforming to places like Whoosy and ChatGPT, Perplexity and Grok and whatnot, Internet of Conversations. And so the strategy to go where the puck is going is now to be part of the conversation, not a part of the things. All right. And that's just a little soundbite. I haven't said that out loud before, but that's something I'm trying to find the best way to explain that. So in order to be the part of the conversation in ChatGPT, you're going to understand that ChatGPT searches are powered by Bing. You're going to develop a good Bing AIEO, AEO's strategy optimization for that, because you understand that when the trend goes more towards agentic AI and it's an open AI or a Microsoft, agent, it's going to use the repository of data from Bing and that search engine and so on and so forth and their social platforms. Gemini is the exact opposite because it's Google, right? So you're going to have to understand how to be a part of those conversations. And then you're going to want to quickly take them from the conversation into your direct niche and expertise off the conversations, off platform, into someplace you own and no longer rent. You rent TikTok, you rent Instagram, you rent the conversation on ChatGPT. What do you own? You own your newsletter, you own your live webinar events, you own your personal branded website. That's not ADX feed because people don't look for properties on your, but it's more of a value proposition, right? In your personal website, your value presence there, but you get them off those rented platforms. So the puck is skating to the conversation, and how to be part of that conversation. You have to have value over volume in order to be part of that conversation.
Dude, I love that. And it goes back to, what I've always thought about marketing is like, you have to join the conversation that's keeping them up at night in their head. That's the conversation you have to join. And so what are we doing from a marketing perspective to join that conversation that's keeping them up at night, which is a pain, right? Which is a pain. We want to be a painkiller, not a vitamin company. And so that's just like where we have to go. And I love how that helped me connect the dots. Just the way you articulated that. So I really appreciate that. So one thing that I want to touch on before we get to show Whoosy Plus. The one thing that where has always been a struggle with the marketing, right? It's always been the one-to-many, then the one-to-one message. And what you showed in Sarasota, I'm like, yes, that's it. That's it. That's where we want to get to. But it has been almost impossible at scale to get to the one-to-one messaging. And what you pulled up and showed with being able to just have a conversation with Whoosy and be like, I'm struggling with my prospecting today. I need you to get into my database, into my contact list, pull out, top buyers that I need to reach out to, what's going on with them, which message is going to resonate. And I need to be able to craft a one-to-one message to those people. Like it's like, we all know we should do one-to-one personalized messaging. We all know we should probably do handwritten, but what do we say? What do we do? And what you showed right there in literally like 64 seconds, I was like, that's it. Like that you could never scale until now.
Yeah.
I would love
to show something like that.
Is so freaking powerful.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we
can. Okay, good. So I changed microphones. Do you want me to just open the screen and just poke around a little bit?
Yeah. You know what? Let's go ahead and start showing them some of the goods.
And we can take it off and on. And, you definitely, lead the charge here on what we want to talk about, what you think is valuable, because, a platform like Whoosy is meant to be a reflection of the user. And so I want whatever you think the user persona we want to take on here. Okay. You can see this screen here with the Spark Pad and whatnot.
Yep.
Morning, Eric. So the difference between like a Whoosy and a ChatGPT, first of all, I'm not knocking any of the products. They're all amazing. They're continually getting better. One of the things that we're trying to focus in on, first of all, is data safety and security and privacy. Not every platform that you go and use today is going to be representative of your fiduciary responsibilities in this industry. And a lot of agents are not thinking about that. They're entering contact information, addresses, P&Ls, tax returns, listing reports, all that stuff that has got contact information and your customer's information. You shouldn't be doing that stuff. So just as a side note, we're actually even pursuing, we just started this week, our type 2 SOC 2 accreditation and certification and full audits. So it's a safe, secure platform. We're not taking your information and putting it anywhere else. Second of all, we're trying to consolidate tech stacks. So those of you who've got a preference towards using DeepSeek or Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT models, we're consolidating those and putting them in one platform. Grok will be in here this next week. And so, taking the different personalities of these different models, the different training
Eric,
sets.
is there any other tool? Is there any other tool that puts all the models in one place?
There's starting to be some, because I think that is a huge, important part. But hyper personalization is the second thing, or specialization. So it's one thing to have a model. It's another thing to have it tuned and trained and specialized for real estate, as an example, or plumbing, or whatever it is. Because the last thing you want to do is get more generic advice.
Right. And so whereas Whoozy is built specifically for the residential industry.
Yeah, we have a version of it that is specifically exactly. So if you click the boxes, you sign up, and with John, your platform is the version for real estate. So Danielle has a great example that if you understand that large language models aren't grounded in truth, they're grounded in patterns, and you want to represent the patterns that's most likely to get you the best result for your specific industry. So, that's why when you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, the cow jumps over it'll say moon. But if you had an AI that was built for farms and ranches, in Danielle's example, it might say gate or fence or puddle or something like that, right? More relevant. So that's the important thing to think about. And so that's a big one, safety, security, but most importantly, like you see here, connected to files and contacts. So as you said before, I'm just going to talk to Whoozy for a second. Hey, Whoozy, I'm kind of out of some prospecting ideas today. And look through my database, give me 5 people that I should call today, tell me why I should call them, and make it relevant to what's happening in today's world in real estate. So just whatever you want. I'm just trying to quickly show that you can, talk to Whoozy in a way that just kind of makes sense with you, the way you think, the way your brain is organized, and then you can get access like this, right? So this sort of relationship with an AI model is different than sitting down and chatting with GPT and say, act as a marketer and right? So think of Whoozy as your personal assistant with the things that are important, not just a tool that you delegate things to. Does that make sense, first of all?
1,000%. And like I said, it becomes that first assistant that you can have a conversation with, that can actually go out and execute, which is one of the biggest problems that we see, is just an execution problem. And now you have an assistant that can execute.
And that's the thing. I love a CRM. A good team is obviously going to be a good, user of a CRM, but most agents aren't, and most teams aren't, and CRMs are clunky and expensive. So the AI, you just have kind of another way of viewing your contacts and how you use them. And we're going to, run adjacent to some CRMs, but this is way better for me, the way my brain thinks, than any CRM. So I could do something like, Whoozy, I met a new contact today at an open house. Their name is Bob Swanson. Phone number is 503-662-1846. Make a note in the notes that they have a daughter named Amanda, a dog named Brutus, and I want to follow up with them next Thursday to talk about buying a house in Lake Oswego. Right. So part of the issue with CRMs too is, how do you get the freaking information in there? And you got to go back to your desk, sit down, enter it in, blah, 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 blah. You tell Whoozy, it adds a contact record. It makes notes that you gave it. It gives me the ability to add that reminder to my calendar to when to follow up with them. And I'm done in 5 seconds. Right. So yes, it's an interface similar to ChatGPT, but the way you approach it is I think is obviously completely different. Right?
This is a really good example. We started the call saying do things better than you have. Well, actually, it's the opportunity to do the things you never did do. This right here.
You didn't even do it. Come on, Danielle.
It's the perfect example of where oh my God, if I only had the time, I have this thought in my head, but there's so much friction.
Yeah.
And then Eric just.
And just knowing people, again, the relationship with the software is supposed to be different. So instead of being receptive, we do things like you click the little Spark suggestions. And now Whoozy is also taking the leadership role. It knows what you're working on. It understands the context of your current conversation, and then gives you additional things to think about, to ask, or here we go. There we go. So, I could just continue to work on and just have Whoozy lead me through things should I want to. So that's the Spark Pad. We're really proud of it. There's a lot of nice features, like just to a conversation. If you want to add a book like Alex Hormozi Leads, I click this, and now you can see this conversation is going to now give me responses as if the AI has read the book, $100 million leads. And so it's now working with me that way. If I want to part of this conversation, let's say now that they've written an offer, I can go in through and find my offer. And by the way, the way you get an offer is you just drag and drop it into the file. Let's say add the file. This offer is a real offer to my conversation. And now my AI has read the offer and is good to go. You can see right here. Now I can do anything like say, hey, Whoozy, read the file on the offer for Bybee Street Give me a quick deal summary on this, and let me know if there's any personal property that's in the offer. And so the AI now kind of acts as your, personal assistant with anything from files to images to contacts to being able to search the internet, so on and so forth. And this is an accurate representation, by the way, of what's in that offer. So, and it did exactly what I asked for. Make sense, you guys?
Yeah. So what's awesome about this platform is this is Whoozy Plus Kitchen. So you see that handsome face on the left-hand side there. It's for your entire audience here who has leaned into you, Coach Kitchens, right? And all those times that they thought, if only I had him sitting next to me, I got to build out that SOP, right? If only I had Coach Kitchens walking me through this process to build out this SOP. So, we've spent a lot of time with your team to develop those mini GPTs, those workflows to guide the users through step by step what thought processes they should be going through to build out and scale their business with intention and real clarity. This is incredible.
Joel, touch on that. I mean, we identified those first key custom Sparks, the way to think about it, right? If you're familiar and, with ChatGPT, custom GPTs, but being able to really think about it with those customs, we took into consideration kind of the key struggles that we see with a lot of agents.
Yeah. And so you can see, like, people don't buy coaching, they buy the coach. We all know this. And you buy John and Joel and the system here because it represents the knowledge base and the strategies that you need. And so AI without that, I think, is missing the point. So this is why we looked at the obstacles of the way. So now we can take the strategies and whatnot that you guys coach and train on, add them into a toolkit here. And now the people that buy Whoozy through you get this different version. So now they have the additional access to this sort of thing 24/7 that helps them do things in the way that you're teaching them and coaching them. And you actually give them some more time in the day, not just another great idea. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between the two here. So we're going to continue to work with you on developing these and getting these to do the types of things that, like, again, your passion is about helping teams grow and scale. So that toolkit will be reflective of that for your members.
100%. Joel, what were you going to touch on there?
Just that you don't want to gloss over the Sparks that we built based on your stuff, John, because there's thousands of hours of material that's trained on, thousands of pages of presentations and tools that you've created over 20 years of coaching. I mean, you've been coaching me for 10 years, and so much of what's happened over 10 years is just in those Sparks now. Yeah. And so they're really powerful. And so I want to make sure people see that that's some of the best stuff that you've developed. Again, you over 20 years, but me coaching with you for 10 years, I have access to all of those things now, all those conversations. I can bring them right back up. Hey, that one time John told me this, I can pull that right back up because it's all in there now. So we built 5 to get ready for launch on some of the most important things. Getting clear, again, not having clarity, especially when you are trying to implement an AI strategy in your business, can be a mess. So how do we get clear? A lot of our clients and teams we're talking to are focused on agent attraction. How do we build out a value proposition for agents? What kind of team are you building? Are you attracting experienced agents or brand new agents? And how do you make a value proposition to attract and retain those type of agents? Yeah. SOPs, as simple as it seems, is just a massive gap in a lot of businesses. But what's the right way to create an SOP that's going to get used and not just collect dust on the Google Drive shelf, right? So these are really powerful things. Like I said, we did 5 to start, and we're going to keep adding more and more of these custom Sparks. And I'm really excited for those projects too, because my brain works in these, like in the Spark Pad type of way already. So it's fun for me to think about what's the next Spark we're going to make that's going to help people solve problems.
And a couple of quality of life things, like you can look back through all of your past conversations, easily find those. The ones that are marked that you've had that were involved with the Kitchen Sparks are going to be marked here in your history so you can get quick access to them. And this is a living, breathing sort of thing. So John, you and your team are going to be able to constantly update them, improve them, add and delete, make them seasonal, make them timely for tax season, make them relevant to something happen in the marketplace that's dynamic. And so your users are going to constantly get the best of the way you guys are thinking and coaching and training inside of everything else that they have with Whoozy as well.
and be able to apply that to their individual situation and their individual business. That's the key. That's where the power of AI, coupled with your wisdom and your guidance, is just, there's exponential growth potential there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Eric, since you have your screen up, I mean, could you pull up coachkitchens.ai? So we can chat a little bit about kind of everything that is included with, the project of us together, with the custom Sparks inside of Whoozy.
Got it up right now. Share my screen for you. You bet. You drive and tell me what you want me to show here. Okay.
Yeah, I think just an opportunity to kind of walk through what folks will get by going through us, getting the custom Sparks, everything, the power of Whoozy, and then also everything else that we're throwing in as well to really help the agents navigate the market, navigate the season that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you get your members, John, Whoozy Plus Kitchen members get access to all of Whoozy plus exclusive offers of your custom design Sparks with your coaching wisdom. And then super exciting that you're also offering for all of your annual Whoozy Plus Kitchens members access to your masterclass, right?
We are, absolutely. So Joel and I, in 2024, we recorded in the different disciplines of leadership and strategy, all things marketing and all things operation. So we played on the agent to CEO theme. So the CEO conversations, the CMO conversations, and the COO conversations. And we did live trainings and recordings and created what became the agent to CEO masterclass. So what we're offering, because it's such a great support tool to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, that you have those resources to tap back into. So for every member, for every subscriber, everybody that has Whoozy Kitchens and through coachkitchens.ai, they will have access to the masterclass. And I mean, like, I revisit it on the marketing side of things all the time. We do in practice what we talk about in the CEO stuff and the strategy stuff and the leadership stuff. Like we live that. And then obviously all the COO stuff. I mean, it's worth the price of admission just to have access to that. Like every time I sit with Joel, I mean, I take notes. So, just having him and having, over 24 different specific topics, everything operation, it's really powerful stuff.
Can I share an idea with you, John, that I can't wait to get to with you?
Yeah.
And that's so we have the custom Sparks and whatnot. And with our new interface with Satori, I just want to show you, let's see here. Actually, let me share this screen instead. Like I'm looking to make a board, a template for you that's something like this. Is my own personal one. So I just want to share it with you here. This is my own daily sort of empowerment board here. So I have my list of questions that I ask myself every, morning in different parts of my business. And then I have my board set up to where I have my favorite resources, and I have here on the left business, on the right personal side. So this is my leadership and sales skills and vision skills. And with this sort of board, I just quickly, connect the dots between, maybe I want to talk sales skills. I'm going to give this to my AI and I want to talk here. Or if I'm talking with my business, maybe it's my, personal, my relationships, my spirituality, and my body. I'm doing this one over here. But this sort of board is like a templatized resource area too, for copywriting, for personal development, for onboarding, for training. You can have all of your tutorials lined up on a board. And so just so you know, I'm really excited to start making these templates of these boards too for your clients.
Dude, if you can create some templates in there to just easy to model after, that would be awesome. Yep. Awesome. Just because we all need a little inspiration, right? To be able to really draw from, to be able to help us execute. I can tell you, Dave Nitchie was in Sarasota, and been coaching Dave for a long time. And he jumped up out of his seat once he saw you, kind of going through everything, and he saw Satori, because I had told him about Satori. And he said, sign me up. And that's what I was bugging Danielle. I was like, I need a link. I got to sell it now. And I need a link. And he's like, dude, he goes, I don't care when you send it to me. As soon as you send it to me, I'm signing up. And so he shot me a message, and he goes, hey man, almost midnight, just whatever. But he goes, create it. So he definitely dove into Satori, and he goes, man, I've been creating these boards to help me with this business. And he goes, books, YouTube videos, websites, marketing personas, sync them all together to help create an investor ICP for some land developments that he's a part of. And it's literally taken under 10 minutes from setting up the board to having information I needed. He goes, if it was it would have taken me hours if I only used ChatGPT for it. So he's loving it. I did. If you've ever built a webinar, I mean, it's hours, weeks. You don't want to get to it. You finally get to it. So I put together a webinar, beginning of the month, and I take training video, Joel and I did from YouTube. I took the best business books around, Dan Kennedy stuff, Russell Brunson stuff, the One to Many book, which is the book for webinars. And I took I took our Agent to CEO website, plugged it into it. And I said, I want to build a webinar, the perfect webinar, utilizing the concepts that we're talking about, following XYZ inside of Agent to CEO, and built it. It built it out, Eric. I kid you not. Took less than 15 minutes to build out all of the bullet points for the webinar. The team then spent a couple hours dialing in the slides. I reviewed them for about 15 minutes, told them to make the changes. They made the changes. In 3 hours, we had built out a webinar slide deck.
Bro, I love it.
Would have taken weeks.
I'm grinning because, first of all, it's incredibly satisfying because we put a ton of thought process into this, because this to me is the type of interface that's worth continuing to develop because it thinks like people think. And I just need the right ingredients. I need it the way I think about things. I need to put it on a board, and I need my AI to help me. I don't want to just go one back and forth. People are also very visual and compelling. Danielle, can you actually, I don't know if you're online. Are you on staging, by the way, Danielle?
Oh, you know what? I probably am. Hang on one second here.
If you are,
also we go to Satori. I am. Oh, this is exciting.
I'm going to preview a brand new feature that will be on the next release here, John, because also part of, the power of AI is in collaboration, and in working with your teammates or working with your clients. So you're going to be able to collaborate on boards, buddy, in real time. See if Danielle can get logged in here. But so you can invite your team across the country, across the nation, and you can see Danielle in here, right?
No way.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you're one of the first to actually see this. So let's say I have a file where, let's say that Danielle is now my client, and we got a new offer on a property. I can say, hey, let's talk about this offer. Here's the offer. She can put up some information on here. We can dive into the internet. We can find out like what's actually happening to create a counter offer together and collaborate in real time. We're also going to have a Zoom integration, so we'll record the whole transcript of our meeting that we had on the board, and I'll load it to the board so we always know what we talked about. So this, buddy, I'm telling you,
Eric, I could have used this 2 hours ago, meeting with the team, laying out the presentation and the slide deck, educating them on how you set up, the heart, the head, the call to action, the heart, going through, recording this whole thing. They got to go back to watch the Zoom. They have to go do this over here. We could have collaborated right here in real time and could have been done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. And we're all human in the loop is what we say consistently too, right? It's leveraging AI, but keeping human in the loop and being collaborative. So I think it's really important to point out too, that with Whoozy, we are an empowerment company. So with that, there is a community where you can hear use cases of others. Because John, just you sharing what you use to prep for your presentation, and Dave's use case, all of that's super inspiring. And all of a sudden my mind expands, and I'm thinking of all these other things I can do. Yeah. So there's community there. And then they also, all your members have access to Whoozy Learn, which is a library of videos of use cases. In fact, we just finished a whole 8-week series on mastering AI in your business. And so there's a ton of recorded sessions in there too for inspiration and how-tos.
It's amazing. What you guys are doing, and I love being around and working with people that listen and iterate. The best example, early on in the real estate space, we were always at the forefront of online lead gen, right? We were one of the first, Howard with Tiger Leads, he only opened it up to 100 markets, and that was it until he listened and he figured it out. Ended up cashing out. It was like the first thing, the very first person to really cash out. And then, his non-compete, then he started YLOPO. But the best that I ever saw execute, and you guys are right there, was Dwayne Legate with Commissions Inc. And Dwayne listened and iterated faster than anybody I'd ever seen. Like, we were day one with Commissions Inc. It was the worst platform. It was the worst tool. It was horrible, but he listened and made it the best. And nobody's ever been able to cash out like he did, and it goes back to his leadership of listening and iterating to really what the user wants. And you guys are doing that.
I love that. I'm just doing some fun while you were talking, because
what's funny here, Joel, this is another thing that you shared in Sarasota when he was at VRX Media. So he was COO at VRX Media before he went over to Sphere Rocket. VRX Media got acquired by Zillow a couple of years ago. And so they were the media company, and they had big accounts like Redfins and Open Doors, and they handled all of their online marketing for their properties. They used to charge $20 to change the lighting on the outside. It was dark, they made it light, or if it was light, they made it dark. They would charge $20 a photo. And like, literally you did it just in a click of a button.
Yeah.
It was just wild.
Yeah. That's the sort of disruptive nature that happens when you look at software as a generative thing instead of a static tool. So I'm looking at this as generative. I want our users to be able to generate kind of what they need, how they need it, when they need it. And that's the difference between Satori being this interactive AI-powered work canvas from the ground up, instead of a piece of software that people have sprinkled AI on top of.
Yeah. I love it. It's so cool. Can you go back to CoachKitchens.ai? I want to throw something else out there. I was just thinking of. So guys listening in, CoachKitchens.ai, you got two ways to get it. One, you could do the monthly. There's there's nothing. It's monthly. You want to cancel, you can cancel, and it's $99 a month. Mm-hmm. You go buy it off the shelf. You go straight to Hoosier, it's $99, but you don't get Coach Kitchens. You don't get our stuff. You don't get the masterclass. Mm-hmm. Danielle sending emails and kind of threw something out there. She said, I don't know if you want to make it irresistible, but what about this? So she threw out.
Do I know about this?
No, you don't. So
okay.
Just mute for a second, Eric. So Danielle was like, how about this? How about let them do the discount on the annual? There's already a discount, right, at $984. What if you drop the discount, and what if it went to $500? Okay. So think about that, right? So $500. So basically 5 months, and then you're getting 7 months for free. Plus you get Agent to CEO Masterclass. And I was like, you know what else I'll do? I don't open up Kitchen Table to anybody. The only way you get an invite to Kitchen Table. And so we're on, so June, the end of June will be KT 18. So we're far enough down the path. I can start numbering them now. Right. So we got 18 coming up in June, and, Kitchen Table started out as a passion project by being inspired by Dan Sullivan on from the book, Who Not How. And in the opening where he's talking with Ben, after Ben does the open and then Dan comes in and they start having the conversation. For those of you that have been a part of Strategic Coach, you look at all of the small business leaders, they've all been through Strategic Coach. They all have. They've all been a part of it in some capacity, right? They've been touched by Dan Sullivan's Strategic Coach work. And I was in my second year of Strategic Coach, but Who Not How just came out. Well, I already knew about the concept because Dan Sullivan's been writing a book every quarter for the last 10 years. And he just hasn't never put anything out to the public. Well, this was the first one. And He said, I've had 7 people that have not missed a strategic coach workshop in my 33 years of doing this. I was like, that's inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And when the book came out, it was October, November timeframe. And I said, can we pull this off? And I said, the one thing that I know that I feel to where we get out of sync is if we miss strategic planning quarterly, right? That's why we're wired to operate in 90-day cycles. We need a 90-day reset. That's quarterly strategic planning. I said, how about we put together a strategic planning 2-day offsite? We know all of the best practices, the way to do it. We've been trained by the best of the best to execute this. I said, let's do it. We had like 8 people show up to the first one. We pulled it off in like 4 weeks. They flew into Dallas. We had Airbnb, and that's where Kitchen Table was born. But it was born from the inspiration from Dan Sullivan. It's evolved to the best of the best, that I've been a part of and running one of the best real estate masterminds ever created that we did with NAEA and NAEA Mastermind, and taking elements from there, focusing in on experience. But Kitchen Table I'm like so proud of it. And everybody that comes, they're like, this is amazing, right? And just walking away and with absolute clarity of what they need to do in the next 90 days. And so I've never opened it up. It's always been invite only. And because I have to protect the integrity of the room, because I need to make sure everybody's like-minded, because we get vulnerable fast, right? Jackie Bowman, I love her to death. She's been to over half of the KTs. And she goes, one thing that we do here, we get to our shit real fast. And so Jackie, I love that. So when Danielle was throwing this out there, I was like, you know what? Let's do 50% off and access to KT. 50% off to KT. KT is $1,000 a ticket to get in the room after invite only. And so here's what I'll throw out there. You guys, with the launch from $984 to $500, you get our custom, you get all of the kitchen stuff, you get the masterclass, and you're going to get access to KT at a 50% discount if you do the annual now.
And to clarify, this is a limited time offer, so the 500 is not forever.
Eric's
on the call. I need to really clarify.
I was like, hey, how long can I ride this out? And she's like, now I'm gonna have to reel you back in a little bit here.
No, man. So first of all, I fully support this, and I'm being a little bit coy just for fun. I knew you guys were coming up with a special thing, and I have to have a lot of trust in my team as well, which I 100% to. The company is the team; it's not me. And so I fully, this is a freaking, excuse my language, fucking great offer. So, make it with pride. I hope people take you up on it. I've been to your events before. And most importantly, like an AI without a rudder in some sort of structure and direction, a coach and a mentor can lead you down the wrong paths. So that's why community is so important. Who you put yourself around is even more important. So great offer, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it is. I saw it, there in Cleveland. I saw it. And I knew that because working with so many agents, and no matter what stage they're in, they need that assistant. They need that right-hand person. But most are afraid to make the investment. One, they don't know how to make the hire. Two, with the earlier stages, a lot of the, getting and then servicing, so they ride the ups and downs of the roller coaster. It's hard for them to level out with consistency. And I'm like, man, they need that assistant in the pocket. They need that person that they can pull out and have a conversation with that can actually do things for them and actually help them. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. And it was so many. I was like, did you see that? Did you see? They missed it. But I knew that that's the direction of where you were going. And I mean, just from what you showed in Cleveland to what it is now, it's night and day. And that's what I love about how fast you guys are listening and evolving. And what you just showed me right there with Satori, like, people don't understand it. When you start to build a team, to be able to have that level of collaboration anywhere on the planet in real time, that's invaluable.
It's revolutionary, buddy. I don't mind saying it. It's never like that actually hasn't been done before yet in a product like that's built from the ground up with AI, with collaboration, with all these sorts of tools.
I can't wait to tell Dave, right? He gonna get even giddier now over that. But No, it is revolutionary. And just, you talk about, because it's all about collapsing time, right? We're in such a instant gratification world that we need now, right? Everything is now. We see it with Coach Prime, like he's preaching that, right? He's like, it's now, right? Like, why are you going to make them wait? You're going to put them up. You're going to put them up. You're going to put their number up there someday. Well, why are you going to wait? Just do it now. And so I think being able to collaborate now, like you just showed, in a way that actually gets the work done. That's the whole thing, right? I need to be doing things that gets work done. And man, yeah, you nailed it.
Good, man. Your team's the first to see it publicly. So
I appreciate it. It's amazing. And so, guys, like I can't, rave about this enough. I use it. Like I use this tool every day. Like there was a contract, and I loaded it in, and I put it into Spark Pad, and I said, review this contract and let me know how I can break it.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me 2 examples of how to break it, and we broke it.
Yeah, there you go.
Just an example, right? In real time, right? What would that have cost me in the past? I would have had to get a hold of an attorney that's going to bill me by the second. It's going to cost me this amount of money. And it's like, this thing is built for real estate. It was a real estate contract. Yeah. Like it knows the ins and outs around real estate. And so, guys, like if you haven't made a hire, this is your first hire. If you have hires, empower them with this. But I'm gonna tell you, this is a tool for you, especially if you're leading a company, and your responsibility of head of company is to be full of ideas. Like you have to have ideas that you're bringing to the table. I haven't found a better tool with Satori to help me work through ideas.
That's
well,
awesome.
I have to say, I love this. Your audience is clearly leaning in. I already see memberships coming through here. So if you're watching this call and the code does not work in the future, that's because you missed out on the opportunity.
That's hilarious.
But
Great.
Join the movement, Hoosie Plus Kitchens.
Yeah, I love it. And, take advantage of it. Take advantage of the, obviously you guys will have masterclass. Take advantage of the discount. I know Danielle threw it out there to be able to have that, being able to then get you guys access to Kitchen Table. I'm like I said, that Kitchen Table has been 20 years in the making. And, I'm really proud of it. So being able to open the doors to get you guys to come join us at a significant discount is awesome. Sam, I know Sam.
Good work, man. And thanks. Hey, Sam. We'll see you all there too. And I'm at the end of the day, I'm actually the most excited about the home buyers and sellers that are going to be served by your people. Yeah. Right. Because that's who pays all of our bills, and all of the focus has been on how do I make my life easier? How do I do this? How do we do that? But at the end of the day, let's improve the consistent experience and transparent, efficient experience for a consumer to elevate our value. And that is how you're going to just pierce through all the noise. And so I'm really excited for your home buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You can do so much. It's so awesome. Guys, you guys are incredible. Thank you again so much. And guys, jump all over this. This is an incredible offer. I mean, it's an incredible addition to whatever it is, and really, truly empowering you to then go out and transform lives.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks
Cool.
for having us.
Well done, John.
Thanks. That's a wrap for today. I hope you got something valuable from this episode. If you did, hit follow and visit johnkitchens.coach for more ways we can work together. See you on the next episode.